Dude, your kids aren't quite old enough yet, but the funniest thing is my son is 12 and he keeps like testing me with different things, like trying to whip a towel at me or something.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm way better at it than he is.
Oh, dude, I would light him up.
Oh, I do. I light him up. And of course, like he gets hit and it hurts, but he like comes back for more. It's hilarious. Like just having a son that's 12 that is like trying to beat me up. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, come on.
Our gym teacher told us a horror story about some kid doing in the locker room, and to this day, I don't know if it was a real story or if it was just a story to
busted
get us
testicle.
Busting
yes.
is yeah.
Yes.
I think we all
the fact
heard
that we all
story.
heard it. Yeah. Welcome to The Cover, where three Hoosier friends judge books by their covers and movies by their trailers.
That's right. I'm Brett, here with my fellow Indiana natives, Remington and Marcus, ready to dive into the stories that keep us up all night and occasionally put us to sleep.
Whether you're a bookworm, movie buff, or just here for the witty banter, we've got you covered.
Each week, we'll dissect a different book or movie, sharing fun facts, hot takes, and moments that make Marcus cry. Spoiler alert, we're not experts, but we're definitely opinionated.
From literary masterpieces to blockbuster flops, nothing is safe from our snarky reviews and wild tangents. Who knew Hoosiers could be this entertaining?
So grab your popcorn and reading glasses because we're about to embark on a hilarious journey through the pages and screens that shape our lives. Or at least our weekends.
You're listening to The Cover. Let's get the show on the road before one of our kids wakes up.
So I do have a what's new if you guys want.
Yes.
What's up? What's new, pussycat?
I wore this outfit to go with the what's new because I last time Remington or 2 times ago Remington made fun of me for never going shopping and getting new clothes, and I went and got some new clothes.
That doesn't sound like me.
At the old Nordstrom rack.
Oh,
Which one?
HTC.
The new one?
Well, this is all part of the story.
Oh.
So I'm at the old one at 82nd Street because there was a birthday party that was down that way this weekend. I was like, you know what? I need to upgrade some clothes, get some new quarter zips, get some new jeans.
82nd and Dean? Is this like a...
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice party.
Get some new jeans, that kind of thing. And
They have a bounce house?
They did have a bounce house and face paint.
Any live animals?
No.
That's the area for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, I continued my...
You've been to 82nd and... What is it, Dean, right?
Yeah.
Am I
He
crazy?
used to live
over
there.
Yeah. Well...
What are we talking
Not
about?
what I'm
Bounce
talking
house.
It was a party.
I was
Brett's
saying there's a
Brett's in a
birthday
different-
party over that way, and I'm like, that's a
I'm
nice
trying to tell
area
you
for
guys.
it right
I'm
here.
trying to tell you guys about how I've upped my game from thieving from CVS to thieving from Nordstrom Rack.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay.
Now I buy all the stuff. I have 2 of these sweaters, quarter zips, whatever.
That looks
we're gonna
really
call them.
nice with the hat.
I know.
That's great.
I thought that too. So I paid for everything. They put it into the bag. I walk out. As I'm walking out, I hear the beeping, and I just keep walking out. I'm like, doesn't matter. Whatever. I just paid for everything.
Yeah.
We're good. All right? I go get my daughter from the birthday party, go shopping. We're having people over, got to cook, that kind of thing. And I remember that I have these clothes. And I was like, oh, Jessica, let me show you my new clothes. I get the 2 quarter zip sweaters out, and they still have those stupid tag things on them. So then I looked, and I did pay for them, but I had the ink. I'm like, man, this sucks because I don't want to drive all the way back over there. But HTC to the rescue, they have the new one.
Nice.
Took it over there, and then as I'm walking in with these, I'm thinking, well, what would have stopped me from just walking out with 2 extra ones and then coming back? Well, she checked my receipt, checked everything to make sure that it was exactly the same 2 sweaters.
Oh, wow.
And then was able to take the things off. But
I would assume
Interesting.
Nordstrom Rack is a store that shoplifting is it happens.
prevalent.
For
yeah,
sure.
I would think so too.
Yeah, if you look at the amount of things and what they put those tags on, I mean, they put them on socks now.
I know. Well, I didn't even notice that it was on there, honestly.
What would you call those types of stores? Nordstrom Rack, TJ Maxx is not the same.
Rack stores.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, second. I mean, so they started off as stuff that got rejected or didn't sell well,
Previous season,
or was
right?
just old. Yeah, but now like they've become such a thing.
Now they have their own brand.
They actually
and
have their
stuff.
own brands, and people.
So before it was, hey, all of you brands, we'll sell your stuff, give it to us. But then they were like, that's so successful, we'll make our own rack store. Got
So
it.
I really like these jeans. They're kind of stretchy.
So your whole outfit is
Ooh,
new.
hold on. You got them from Nordstrom, right?
I did.
Mavi?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
guess
I've been on Mavi since
Oh, yeah,
before.
man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I've never had Mavi before, but they're Mavi, and guess what the cut is called?
Skinny,
Nope.
slim,
Nope. It's a name.
Marcus Butt.
It's called Marcus. The jeans are called Marcus.
I thought you were having
I was like, I have to
so-
buy these. Very comfortable. Though.
I have to wear Jake. Actually, no. I
You
don't
have
wear
to
Jake.
wear Jake.
I wear Jake. Jake is mine.
Jake is good.
I'm
All
wearing
right,
Marcus.
Hey, welcome to the Cover Podcast. I'm your host,
Brett
Brett
thought we were
Wiggins.
about to go down a
Wait,
dark path.
it was time to steer quickly. As always, to my left in his brand new wardrobe is
Marcus Mangus.
welcome to Mavi Jeans, man. That's
Yeah,
great.
dude, they're nice.
Joe's, by
Fantastic.
the way. Joe's.
Joe's
I've just
also
discovered.
solid.
Yeah, I tried
Joe's-
on one of those.
Joe's and Mavi.
And sitting to my right is Sir
Remington Ramsey.
Remington Ramsey. We got it playing in the background, but Rem, can you tell? We haven't even given any hints. Yeah, this is great. What are we covering, Rem? Unless they've read the title
Although
of the episode.
if they've been listening to the previous episodes,
That's
they
true.
know.
We've been given.
We are covering Hoosiers, 1986, a PG rating. PG rating. It ran for an hour and 45 minutes, but the director, who is David Anspaugh, wanted it to run for 2 hours and 48 minutes. He actually thought that
Whoa.
they made him cut so much that not the love scene, but the love brewing between Coach and Myra.
The kiss kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah,
I
so
feel that.
Oh,
he
because
felt
they cut some of the other love stuff.
they felt that he cut 48 minutes worth of character development and relationship development. He
Wow,
thought it
that
just
makes so much sense.
robbed the audience. Yeah, you can feel it. You
I
can
didn't
feel a
know
little
this
bit.
got 2 Oscar nominations.
2 Oscar nods, and I want to get into that too because it's really interesting what got the Oscar nods.
I don't know what did. I just noticed that it was nominated
Yeah.
twice.
So you don't know?
Nope.
You guys can get at least 1 Oscar nominations. There was only 2.
Gene
Academy.
Hackman.
Best actor.
Nope.
Wow.
Best supporting actor, Dennis
Oh.
Hopper.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, that makes sense.
Good
And
for him.
and that's what was
'Cause
so
Dennis
interesting.
Hopper was a big name.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of towards the end of his career here, but like
had to be a fun role to play.
not the end of his career. But
That's what I thought. I mean, you can really dig in when you have like something that like playing an alcoholic
Yeah.
that's trying to get sober.
dude, I mean,
He's
for
known
an
for
independent film like this,
speed.
getting Gene Hackman and Dennis Hopper, big deal.
Well,
Hoosiers.
since we're always
Boy.
talking about who it was supposed to be, this
Oh.
is pretty interesting. Who was supposed to be Coach? It was.
1980.
This is 1986.
Robert De Niro.
Did we say it was Hoosiers yet? It's Hoosiers.
It's Hoosiers. This is the opening week. When this releases, it's the opening week of IHSAA basketball.
All right,
We
so
felt like this was perfect.
I'm gonna read the back cover, and while I do, I'll give you guys a chance to think who was supposed to be Coach, and it is the lead of a previous movie we have done.
Whoa.
Tom Hanks.
Okay, I said I'm reading the back cover. Hoosiers, a coach with a checkered past and a local drunk, train a small-town high school basketball team to become a top contender for the state championship in the 1950s, Indiana. So,
The lead.
the lead actor in a recent movie we just did.
Shoot, you're really going to distract me. I don't even have my 9 words close.
You're not even counting
yet.
on your fingers yet.
Um,
You
Robin
gotta,
Williams.
you gotta be a straight shooter.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was queued up, and that would have been an interesting pick.
I see it though.
Guys, I did so much. So as I'm watching this and thinking through it and looking at the time period, this was 86. And I'm like, this has got to be inspired by Bobby Knight. And it's not. I
No.
can't find anything on it. But think about it. They won three championships. The Hoosiers, won 3 championships. There's so many similarities between the coaching styles and the backstory.
Yeah.
Maybe not inspired by Bobby Knight, but do you feel like they were riding the wave of IU basketball? Yes.
Well, maybe that's just
To call it Hoosiers, yeah, because that would have been the
though.
third state championship the year before they actually won. It'd be like right now, like coming out with I don't know. Remember when Florida won like back-to-back years basketball, back-to-back years like football?
Yep.
That's what happened. Like they're, So anyway, I just thought that was such fascinating timing, and there's nothing about that that you can find. Now, he was fired in the 90s. Or maybe, no, I'm sorry.
No, dude,
he was
like early 2000s.
2000s.
Yeah.
So like halfway through the movie, she says the other shoe drops where she says you were fired and let go, and you're not allowed to coach in the NCAA because of hitting a player. So that was the part where I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is probably like late 80s. Marcus, you might be able to speak to this best, maybe Rem, not me. Height of Bobby Knight popularity.
Stardom?
Like this is probably it, right? Like the late 80s.
He probably, no, I mean, even in the mid 90s, even though he hadn't won.
That's what I'm saying. Height, though. Height.
I mean, he
undefeated season was late 70s, right?
76. And then they won again in 83 and then 85.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, so you win 2 out of 3. That's a pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a big deal until he wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
in fact, even when he got fired, half the school, it was house divided. And the school still.
Have you watched that 30 for 30?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good. His book is so good. Everything
book
on
good?
Bobby Knight is very fascinating.
Nice.
All the way up until the end.
The end.
And
Well, Rem?
the amount of people that when he died put that quote on Facebook.
I know.
Was a little like, I don't know if that's, did he want that? Like, was he that guy near the end? What was the quote, Mangus? Because I think you actually.
The quote that he says?
Something about his
quote.
critics.
So
he says,
Bobby Knight
says,
said,
when I die, bury me upside down so that all the critics can kiss my ass.
so that was what he said when, in the 5 years after he got fired. He kind of chilled out, came back to coaching, and then in the last couple of years really declined and was just fishing, right? So I wonder if him at the end of his life is smiling at the thought of that being the quote that everyone remembers, or if he's like regretting it.
It's a poetic, funny quote too. That actually
He's not regretting that quote.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
He still holds his grudges. I feel like he was invited back at IU a couple times and reluctantly either did or did not.
Only one time. He only came back that one time.
He ended up coming back.
He came back
like a year or two before he died.
That
was it.
I feel like maybe he saw,
and he was living in Bloomington.
He saw Dickie V then outside of an IU basketball game. I remember vividly them having a very awkward moment.
Interaction.
It was a strange interaction.
You were there?
No, I just remember seeing it. He I don't know. He gave him a noogie. It was weird. It was a really strange, weird
That
moment.
reminds me. So Tyson's got this fight this coming week.
It's really going to happen.
It's happening. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Oh my gosh.
So either Tyson's going to kill him or he's going to get killed.
So what are the odds, by the way? All of these former fighters that are fighting Jake Paul, are they losing on purpose for money? Is that?
I don't think Tyson needs money. I don't know what he's doing.
And Jake Paul's a real fight. I mean, he's a real fighter.
The only time he's fought a current active fighter, he got absolutely
sure,
wrecked.
but he can fight. Like he's
also young. He's in shape. Like he does work out. But dude, man, Mike Tyson catches him once. I feel like.
I guarantee that it's gonna hurt if Mike Tyson hits you, even at Mike Tyson at 60 or however old he is.
So there's this little dude who's.
You guys remember when Mike Tyson bit off Holyfield's ear?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that vividly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all anyone talked about.
Yeah.
Like you think I go into a store or a locker room and hear anything but Flacco stuff? Like imagine Flacco biting off someone's ear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, Tyson's doing all this stuff online, and he's doing stuff with influencers. There's this little influencer who's he's got this disease. He looks like a kid. He's 2 feet tall. I can't remember his.
Hasbulla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's 19. He's 19 years old.
I thought he was older than that.
He's 19 years old. He is a devout Muslim.
No,
Like,
I don't think we're talking about the same
dude,
person.
Okay, keep talking.
There's a bunch of memes and gifs about this.
Yeah.
This kid.
He looks like a child.
He looks like a child. So Tyson doesn't know that this guy has a disease. He just thinks it's a kid.
Nice.
So he's doing like these little punching drills, and Tyson's just like messing around with him. He grabs him, starts kissing his neck. Like, it's so awkward if you actually know it's just like a normal dude. Anyway, when you said that, we're so far off track. I don't even know how we got there.
He's 22.
Oh, shoot.
He's 22.
He was 19 3 years ago.
19. He was 19. That's what you meant to say.
It is technically dwarfism.
But it's like an extreme version of it where he looks young.
Yeah.
Kind of like the dude from Greatest Showman.
I thought you were going to say The Office.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either.
Or Dwight asked him about Ryan's friend that he parties with in New York City.
Oh, you look like a hobbit? Yeah.
So good. So what'd you know going into it? I'll answer. For me, seen it a few times. I would say all I remember about it from long ago, before I really got serious about it and watched it. Small Indiana school, win state championship, before classes of schools were introduced in Indiana. I remember.
Do you know when that was?
I don't know, man. It was.
It was in our lifetime.
It was in our lifetime.
Class basketball
class
was.
Basketball.
It would have been like 97.
Dude, here's what I remember. So I went to Northside Middle School, which seats. I'm could be crazy. Look it up. Maybe we could get somebody to look it up during the show. That'd be great. I want to say it's between 7,000 and 10,000 at seats. Crow's Nest,
nice.
triple deck, amazing. And my grandma would tell me that growing up, literally classes were canceled.
Yeah.
For the first 2 days of sectional, everybody would be there from whatever, probably
big deal,
northern part of Indiana. And then I don't know. They probably. How old was the Wigwam? Was the Wigwam around way back then?
We can look that up, but yeah.
So they probably hosted there. But I mean, it was everything for a couple of days. That's all you did. No school.
And sectionals were massive.
Yeah.
Especially when there weren't classes.
Yeah.
When there weren't classes.
What's crazy is that when we were in high school, the three of us, 17 of the top 20 largest high school basketball gyms were found in Indiana.
Yes.
And even with the popularity of basketball in the last 30 years, I don't know what the number is, but it's still pretty high.
Yeah.
With a couple of those gyms that have gone abandoned, the Wigwam being one of them.
Well, I remember, like, when I was a kid, I remember watching, like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and, like, all these different, like, movies and shows and stuff.
And seeing the gyms
where
they were
people
playing
would play
in.
basketball, and they'd be playing, and there would be barely any stands.
Yeah.
There would be, like 10 bleachers or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's not believable.
I'm like, why are they playing in, like, that's not even close to what it would look like.
Yeah.
And come to realize, like, you watch these kids that are playing in these high school games on YouTube and stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh, those are real gyms.
It's like AAU,
like my
courts.
elementary school gym that I played in. It was an old high school. So, like, my grandpa, my great grandpa both went to high school in this place.
Yeah.
And then it got swallowed up by a larger, like, bigger school.
Yeah.
So then it was just elementary school. But I played elementary school basketball in a place that probably held like 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Yep.
Wow,
and the
nuts.
bleachers were permanent.
They weren't like, the retractable situation?
No, the gym was the basketball gym was the focus, So yeah, I mean, basketball is a big deal in Indiana. I mean, I can't imagine how many times I've watched this movie, but it came out in 1986. I was born in 1987, and I probably watched it in 1987.
Staple for both of you growing up?
No.
Oh yeah,
no,
for me.
Not for you.
For me.
For you, yes?
Not for me. I mean, it was a staple in our community. Everyone liked it, but I hated it. I was just too young to get it. Like, it's not a movie after you've been watching, fast-paced Disney or even at that time sports movies that are faster paced. This was so hard for me to get. Like, if you're a kid trying to watch that first 20 minutes, like, just shoot the basketball. Like, you're just wanting some action to happen. Best player's not even playing. You're just so frustrated.
I just loved everything basketball growing up.
So you love this movie. You don't ever remember thinking this was boring?
No.
Now, as the more I watch it, like, especially doing my homework, like,
yeah, when I was watching it for this, I
it's
appreciated
so much,
it a lot
for
more.
sure.
Yeah.
Like, when you watch it to talk about it, you watch it with a different lens. Like, this last watching made me really appreciate certain things. That
Well,
I never did
you
before.
appreciate, we're all in leadership roles. We appreciate the coach so much more now, and his fathers. Like, that,
Yeah,
I know
well,
for
and
me,
I just
that's
think
what's changed
back,
over
there's a
years.
lot of nostalgia because, like, we'll get into it, but like my grandpa, I remember him talking to me about not this movie, but the game itself, because it's based on a real team,
Yeah.
Milan,
Mhm.
and so
You know who they played?
he would talk to me. It was
Muncie Central.
yes,
Muncie Central Bearcats.
Yes.
Grew up 5 minutes from
I
where
knew
they
it was
played.
Central something. But he told me that like he listened to this game on the radio and that they could barely hear the announcers because people were going wild the whole
So
time.
loud, yeah.
And I once watched this game, so the real game, not the Hoosiers version. And I was so excited to watch it. And they ran this four corners offense that was the most boring basketball
Yeah.
you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
And everyone in Hinkle the whole time, these people are just standing there on the corner with the basketball. They're going insane.
While they're holding the basketball?
The whole time.
And you're saying this was
Yeah, do you know what the score was?
This was Milan's strategy.
Yes.
For that's how they
Yeah.
overcame.
Guess what the score was?
it was really low.
22-18.
30-32 was
Yeah.
the final score of that game.
Was that a low
because
score back
Milan,
then? Back
Milan-
then was
yeah,
that?
very low score then. I mean, they literally held the ball. Like they just would hold it like up by.
No
It
shot
inspired-
clock. No shot clock. And is there a shot clock even now in high school?
Shot clock.
No.
No. Okay. How do you but if you just choose to get up and play defense on that person, 5 seconds, right? But that's the whole goal they want you to pursue.
There wasn't 5 seconds there either. There wasn't 5
got it.
seconds until our generation.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And even then, it kind of changed. Like if you made a move towards the basket,
And then you
or if
retreated,
dribbled,
reset,
yeah, it's changed a lot. What's funny is like it's interesting because at the NBA level, rules and regulations are built for the entertainment.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like, how can we get more people to watch? We need to call less travel so that they can do cooler moves, be more, that's what's driving that. So then it's interesting to see the NCAA on down what they adopt as the actual ruling.
Right.
Because you see these kids watching it. I mean, I've seen tons of clips where a kid will like hit a game winner because they'll do the old Dwayne Wade step back and they'll call a travel. And
'Cause it is a travel.
The crowd is going wild and
Yeah.
they lose.
Right.
Yeah. It is
Wow.
a travel.
Well, I wonder how
Brett wouldn't say it's a travel because all Brett does is watch the NBA.
No. But I do think there are very smart players who took advantage of rules.
Sure. Harden's one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I do think a lot of the moves turn into travels that could get called, but
Correct.
many of them are actually legal moves that they just realized, I can gather the ball that's in the
Yeah,
rules.
but it's more often than not, it's an actual travel.
Depending on
Yeah.
what league. That's what I'm trying to tell
No,
you.
even in the NBA.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. Because they give you so much leeway in the NBA now. They give you a
Yeah.
gather and a step. Like it's not. It's not a modern travel. And that's
I'm no
what's frustrating.
professional
Well,
ref.
anyway, I like this game because it's pure. I like this movie because it's pure basketball.
We
I
need to
don't
say
know
that,
how
man.
pure it is.
Hey,
pretty bad.
The
What's
four
worse,
corners
this or
thing
Disney?
Pass
is-
it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's actually like people that know how to play basketball in this movie.
Right.
That's refreshing.
Yes.
because there's some very bad sports movies. Out
True.
there for
I wrote
basketball's
that
the
down.
hardest.
I wrote that down. Of like, if you're watching the actual basketball and they're passing and they're actually doing basketball moves, like in terms of basketball
Yeah.
players, they actually know what they're talking about. So I wrote that down.
I
and
have
then I
a
started
hidden-
watching. I was like, okay, it's still pretty bad.
I have a hidden gem about that actually, so
Okay.
we'll get to that.
Anything else to share as far as what you knew beforehand or anything like that? I think Rem shared didn't love it growing up. Slow.
No,
for him.
I did. Yeah, I was
Marcus
a slow
absolutely
grow.
loved
Might
it.
have been one of the first movies I ever saw.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were born in '87. It came out in '86.
yeah, very possible.
I'm shocked this wasn't a Brian Ramsey special.
Oh, it was. I just didn't like it.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
This director, by the way, directed one other movie that we've done. Oh, we have not done, but it's one of Brett's favorites. One of my favorites.
Rudy.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Rudy.
Two great sports movies.
I heard the movie that they would make about making the movie Rudy would be even better than the movie Rudy.
You've said that.
That's because Rudy said it. But I can't trust anything Rudy said.
Were you there for that?
Yeah.
At my breakfast?
Yes.
Gosh, he was terrible.
Yeah, he definitely woke up that morning and was like, all right, I'm in Indianapolis and I got to talk somewhere.
No, dude.
We'll figure it out.
He does it everywhere.
Everywhere.
That's he
No, but
speaks now.
I'm saying he woke up and said, I'm in Indianapolis.
Oh,
what's
yeah.
today? All right, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just bad.
Marcus, you ready to jam?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, 9 words from Marcus.
I was going to let you go first, but that's okay.
You mean by saying Marcus, you
here we
ready
go.
to jam? You thought that meant
Yep,
me.
that's
Got
what I
it.
thought. Okay. Dejected coach comes to Hickory and changes the game.
Ooh.
What's the difference between dejected and rejected?
I don't know.
And what I thought you were going to say, degenerate.
Either
but
would
that
work.
Would not have worked.
Degenerate assistant coach is the real hero.
I don't care how many words. That's great. That's good.
Are you giving away the end?
Is the
I'm just
real
kidding.
hero.
I was 2 words away.
To
I do 7
applaud.
words.
To applaud. The real hero to applaud.
To blathe.
That was great, Marcus. I had a comment on it, but forgot it. Maybe I'll remember. Slam poetry. Here we go.
Well, I try not to give away the ending because Remington doesn't like it when I give away.
No. I think we like both. It's just there's 2 different types of 9 words, right?
Well, first of all, I don't know what ending you're thinking of where the assistant does anything for like the...
You said something about
You
the
said
assistant.
assistant.
I know. You said don't give away the ending.
Hmm?
Never mind.
You said the assistant's the real hero. That's the end.
But he didn't say that.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, well. He had 2 of the best possessions of his life. I'll tell you that much right now. You might be in Indiana if there's a basketball hoop in every dang driveway. Indiana small town hospitality, not portrayed greatly. Step 1 of being a great coach, kick somebody out of practice. Norm says pass 4 times. Ray doesn't want to pass 4 times. His team is on the floor. Ray punches a guy. He'll probably start passing 4 times. Losing battles with the boys, but slowly winning the war. Jimmy's got something to say. Shooters withdrawals and Everett's inner struggle. Strap. God wants him on the floor. Ali sends them to state. Norman Miss Fleener. You sly dog. Hickory wins when no one thought they could, which means Mount Rushmore is now Jordan, LeBron, Bird, and Chit Wood. Had to think about
Did
Chit
you
Wood.
know Bird was supposed to go to IU?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And any story behind why?
Didn't
why
get
not?
that far. He was a Hoosier for a month.
I
And-
think he didn't. Him and Knight didn't get along.
Yeah, I can see that being the case.
What, so he actually lived there for a minute? He went?
Yeah, I mean, he committed to Indiana.
He was
to IU.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. That would have been a very different...
I could see those 2 butting heads.
You think?
Yeah.
He
I can see those 2 butting heads with everyone.
That whole Bird Magic run from college all the
Amazing.
way through is so fascinating. And the books and movies and docuseries that come out about it where it's like Bird goes to Boston, which is like super white, and it's like cultures collide with LA, which is where Magic went. I mean, it's just so very fascinating. But
I can't believe he was going to go to
from
IU and went
French
to ISU and then literally lifts ISU to a national championship. That's why I've never heard that before.
But state wins, right?
No,
Yeah,
Michigan State. Well, they're both
State
state.
won that.
Yeah.
Well,
Michigan
it's
State.
Indiana State.
No one
versus
calls
Michigan
Indiana State.
Yeah.
I don't know one person that calls Indiana State State.
I'm just saying it could be confusing for some listeners.
That's like someone saying USC. Are you talking about South Carolina or which one are you talking about?
Samford? Stanford of the South?
I was just in Boston this weekend, by the way.
Yeah?
Speaking of Boston.
You ran a 5K?
I ran my first 5K ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you pace yourself better than the 400-meter sprint for the Olympics?
I actually paced myself pretty well for that.
Nice.
I just didn't have a madman going behind me.
was the key.
No, it ended up being a little short, but I really enjoyed it, man. Something about it was the first time I run a lot, so it
It's
was
fun to run with people.
Yeah, it was. Right out of the gate, you're going like I was a little moved.
You ran
by it.
faster, probably.
I don't
than normal.
know that any of that. It was just the fact that we were all doing it.
Freer, lighter?
Yeah.
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 Cool.
I definitely, anytime I run those, I always run better times than I would at home.
Sure. Oh,
Just
yeah.
because there's other people around and I'm looking at people, I'm like, that person's not going to pass me.
Was this a spur of the moment situation?
So we went to the National Association of Realtors conference, and I went on behalf of my company to do some research, digging, and networking.
By the way, how many times does somebody be like, "Nar, nar,
Nah, I'm not going.
nar"?
Just my wife.
Okay.
Yeah. But out of the 6,000 people that were there, 1,200 of them signed up for this thing.
Wow.
So it was pretty massive.
Yeah.
And so we're running, and I was like, man, I think it'd be really fun to all dress up in costumes and run this thing, because I'm not taking my time serious on the first one. I was like, that'd be really fun. There was just so many things I was thinking about, but mostly how I was just proud of everyone running. I'm the kind of guy, if I'm driving and I see anyone running, like sometimes people like their inclination is to make fun of how someone's running, or just, I don't know why we're a mean culture. I try so hard to be the guy that's like, if someone's working out, I'm
Good
there
for
for
you.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Like, I'm cheering for you. So anyway, it was just fun.
Was it just for the conference? Was it
just for the realtors?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Just
That's
for
cool.
the real estate professionals
Through downtown Boston?
Yeah. We ran on the harbor. Had some
Any good
really
food?
good clam
Seafood?
chowder. Oh, such good clam chowder. Now, I was a little disappointed in the lobster roll. I was really excited about the lobster roll. Have you guys ever had lobster roll? You know what lobster
but
roll
it's
is?
not great. It's not. I've never loved the lobster roll.
Where have you gotten it?
I'm nowhere special.
Have you ever gotten it at HC Tavern? If you get it at HC Tavern, it's better than any lobster roll I've had on the East Coast.
Listen, the lobster cargo at HC Tavern.
Yeah,
is
it's just good food. But so I was disappointed because it's supposed to be chilled lobster on a toasted.
Yeah, that's my thing. I just don't love
bun.
chilled. I love cooked lobster. I
Warm,
just took it
buttery.
out of the shell. Like
sure.
I love that so much. Chilled lobster just
To
doesn't
each his
do it for
own.
me.
You
The
guys
clam
know who
chowder
runs
was
a lot?
amazing, though. Who runs?
You know who runs a lot?
Yeah.
These guys do. They run a lot in during conditioning.
Yeah, I bet, because they're all super skinny.
Do you remember conditioning for basketball?
Suicides,
Dude.
staggers,
Dude,
down and
here's
backs,
what was cool though.
Indian
Baseball
runs.
season was right after basketball season. And baseball, nobody conditions for baseball season. So
Yeah.
any of the conditioning that we did do is so easy.
So-
it was so easy.
Yeah.
I had the opposite. So I would come straight out of tennis and into basketball conditioning.
Yeah, I was soccer to
And-
basketball.
And the two are very, very different. Like,
Yeah.
That's
you have
surprising.
to be in good shape to play tennis.
But it's
But
quick.
it's-
It's quick.
It's like
Yeah,
real
jolt.
short bursts. And we would go, and the tennis season gets over kind of early, so I never would be able to skip conditioning like the football players could. And, dude, we had shorts is what they called them, and longs. And I don't know what this was for you guys, but we would have to run 7 lengths of the court under a certain amount of time for a short. Right? And so we'd have to be under 32 seconds or whatever for that. Right? And then they'd keep bringing the time down every single day.
Yeah.
You have to go faster and faster, like, because you weren't hurting from the day before.
I loved it.
And then longs were 14 lengths,
Yeah.
and you had to do it.
So here's the thing. I wrote about this. So like as a freshman, I hated it. And I was looking at the juniors and seniors who were like, didn't have bad attitudes about it, and they were good at it, and they were faster than me. And I was just like, what's their deal? Like, why aren't they griping about this? And so I made, between my sophomore and junior year, I made a mental shift where I'm like, I'm going to work out in the summer. I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to be better than all of them. So I don't care about any of this. And by the time I got to soccer, I mean, we had hell weeks where we didn't even touch a ball. I was awesome. I was flying, and I was those. And there's some sort of leadership shift you have to make. And when you do that, it's truly like a runner's high.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh,
Dude,
okay.
you're competing then.
And
Yeah.
and now you're like, you can see the vision. It's like, oh, we're gonna be good too, and you can
that's
focus
what
on
I
being
always
good.
that's what I always loved was like the idea that, because I was never the biggest, I was never the fastest, I was never the strongest, but it's like I can definitely be smarter and I can outwork everybody else. And so conditioning was the chance for me to outwork everybody else.
Sure.
And not necessarily on my team, although that was the case too, but just all the other players. And I love that mentality, the what made you think. I love that mentality that he brings to the table right away, because they're just scrimmaging.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, Yeah, I had something else in mind. I think he even says, like, my practices are not made for your enjoyment.
You know what's funny is, like, that coach made me uncomfortable. Not Hackman, but the other one who's just, like, trying to step on his toes.
Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah. Well, it's not, but yeah.
Oh, who is it?
Not him.
It's not Billy Bob
Is his
Thornton.
dad?
There's a couple actors that look
No
like him.
way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Chelsea
he's
Ross.
been in a lot of other stuff. But.
Chelsea, he does kind of look like him. Chelsea Ross.
He
He's
looks
also
very much
in
like him.
Basic Instinct, Major League.
Oh man.
Yeah, definitely not Billy Bob Thornton though.
It does look like him. Is that the guy that plays Dan Devine and Rudy then?
No,
That is Billy Bob Thornton.
yeah.
Dude, I don't know, man.
Dude, you want to talk about opening scenes though? Like Brett, their opening montage. How about not opening scene, but
I'm with
opening
you.
montage? Like, I can't imagine that anybody outside of maybe the Midwest or something appreciates just seeing these cornfields and people shooting on barns and the sides of houses.
Dude, Bass, put
and
it
stuff
anywhere.
like that.
My aunt and uncle's house when I was growing up, that my grandma lives in now. There is it's been there since they probably bought the house. There is a basketball. They've probably got an acre there, and midway through the backyard, there is a shed, and then right next to the shed, there's all wood. Like they literally made this on their own, wooden pole, wooden backboard,
Yeah.
old rim, no court.
Yeah.
Just grass,
Yeah.
and it just where the ball is kind of eliminated the grass.
Well, that's pretty much what I had at my house when I was
Wild.
growing up. Yeah,
And the ball doesn't even bounce.
No,
Yeah.
So we had
kind of like Jimmy's.
Yeah.
like kind of like Jimmy's. And
well, that was at the school.
well, you
Where he
remember?
was
Oh, at the
picking 'em up.
school.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you remember the Ladigs?
Yes,
Like Wes
Yes.
and Caleb.
Yes.
They played
Northwood?
at Penn.
Penn.
No, they
Okay.
played at Penn,
Yeah.
and then
I was thinking Lightfoot,
and then
but later,
and then
yes.
Bethel.
Yep.
Yeah. So I grew up playing AAU basketball with those guys on their team, and like every time that we could, we would go over to Wes's house, and he had in his barn, they had a basketball hoop, like a basketball little, not quite half court.
That's the most Indiana sentence.
Not quite.
In his barn, he had a basketball
not quite half
court.
Like literally, like underneath us are pigs and cows and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and we're playing basketball in this barn all year round.
Yeah.
And
Barnyard
just, like-
ball. Take your
and
shoes
just,
off
like,
and play. Have at it.
pushing people into the sides
Oh,
of the
yeah.
barn. And
Do you guys
the
remember
poles that are in
where
the
were
middle.
we?
Oh.
Where were we when we played barnyard basketball? Where we took off our shoes and just anything goes. Do
Was
you remember that when
at
Elliot broke his
Chris's-
nose?
That was at Chris's
Elliot broke his
birthday.
nose.
Chris's birthday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had a party.
Dude, that
and,
was bad.
and we played
It was
barnyard
a low hoop.
barnyard
Yes.
basketball on a low hoop. And anything
was that
goes.
at?
Anything goes. Just a church gym. Just
Yeah.
like a barn gym.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was so
It
fun.
was. Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Shout
We've
out.
had
I
a
think it
couple.
was like a 9-foot rim or
We've
something.
had a couple of those, you know.
Shout
Or the
out
time that
Elliot.
Jim-
Watching Elliot play defense is one of my
Yeah.
favorite things of all time.
Yeah, hockey player playing basketball.
I mean, literally boxing you in with his arms and hands. But it's
How
So
about Jim basically breaking his ankle at your aunt and uncle's
4th
house?
of July weekend. And then
so
my
did you
aunt
play?
had some
Did
choice
you
words
play
for him.
high school ball?
I did.
And then did you play high school ball?
Freshman year?
So this movie, I mean, so that's when it gets real for me.
Yeah.
It's because I have so many high school basketball
Yeah.
memories. I
Agreed.
mean, it is a big deal in Indiana. It's a huge deal in Madison County.
Yeah.
So at the time, the Wigwam, I was the last wave that played in the Wigwam, which was the largest high school gym in the world,
Which is in Anderson.
in Anderson.
Yeah.
The seating capacity in Newcastle is the largest in the world, but
Yep.
the size of the gym is like bigger than college gyms, just massive. We'll post
Yeah.
a picture on our social so you can see this, and I wrote a piece about it. But the Wigwam was just intimidatingly huge for a high school kid to play in.
Yeah.
And so all these floods of memories, like all these, I played in these gyms. Like I played in the night. This was
The
filmed at the
Nicetown
Nicetown gym.
Yeah.
I played in the Nicetown gym. Yeah, I mean it's pretty. We'll get into that.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. What else? So what else made us think? Let's keep it rolling here. First thing I put down was all these old movies. Always a car and always a synthesizer to open us up.
80s.
Man, geez.
Oh, by the way, that was the other thing they got the nod. Academy Award was the
Music?
soundtrack. Yeah, it's just like
Interesting.
there's it's so obviously 80s.
Yeah.
Very 80s. Very, very 80s. Yeah.
Is Jimmy autistic?
Oh.
Oh, he might be.
Seriously,
He might be.
watch it again. Tell me he's not autistic. Dude never directly talks to anybody.
Yeah. Doesn't
Kinda
really even look people in the eye.
Cares is methodical about basketball. He only misses 3 shots in the whole movie, by the way.
Hey,
Dude,
that
he
is
was
a
on
heck of a scene.
Fire.
That was
is
shot.
rebounding
That
for
was
him?
shot in one take.
That's a heck of a scene when he.
That was shot in one take, and everyone is watching him hit the buckets. By the way,
Oh,
anyone who's watching that, they're listening to Hackman kind of, but they're really watching to see if he's gonna.
They
miss.
did that in one take.
One take.
I mean,
And if you'll
it's
notice-
doable, obviously, but
Sure.
but like,
But did you
That's
notice
impressive.
Hackman says, "I don't care."
Yeah.
Walks away,
He misses.
and that's
the
when he
only
misses
yeah.
it. I've
now, was he
always
supposed to miss that shot?
no,
Or-
no.
Oh, it's so great.
So they said later he wasn't even listening to Hackman. He was just focusing on hitting the buckets.
Well, yeah.
because he's autistic.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
That's a great take. Never. I thought the meeting of the men in like the barber shop or wherever.
Yeah.
To meet this new coach, like
Very remember
we talked
the Titans.
a little. Well, we talked a little bit about like small towns, and Bremen is probably where I grew up, slightly bigger than this fictional Hickory,
Yeah.
but not much. And this is 100% the kind of thing that
Oh, yeah.
would have happened.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, no.
Even while you were growing up?
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah, totally.
That's all you talked about, man. I mean, people
Yeah.
had season tickets to the Wigwam. Like it was what you do. And think about it, because of the frequency, it's more of a big deal than football because there's more games.
Yeah.
Well, and people just they're freaks about basketball, and everybody's so knowledgeable that it's like, hey, we've got our opinions. We've got to play zone. Are you are you zone or man?
His
to man?
attitude,
And
his reaction, all that.
It wasn't about basketball for me. I completely agree with that. I just meant in terms of any type of town situation, person of power, meeting up at the barbershop and all of these local influencers, we'll call them, giving them their 2 or 3 cents.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The amount of men coming up to him, acting as if he wants their opinion before they even
Yeah.
talk to him is
Yeah.
fascinating. And the way he treats the cop is hilarious to me.
Mhm.
Because the cop acts like he has no authority at any time inside the basketball gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's walking up and like the way they talk to him like he's just another guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not disrespectful. Like they're not like disrespectful. I want to make sure, like, if you haven't seen the movie, they're not disrespecting cops, but he's not treating him like that in that moment. He's just a townsperson that's in his locker room. I mean, he goes into the
Dude,
locker
that
room.
was nuts.
I think I loved, what do we want to call him? Coach Norm? Just Coach?
Coach is fine.
Coach's ability
Norman.
to, how he handled that, how he walked out of the barbershop when they asked him a specific question, something, and he was like,
Gentlemen, have a good night.
yeah, just what I love his ability to stay calm, not care. It was, I think the way he handled a lot of those situations was to be admired. I liked it a lot.
The townspeople loved it too.
Big fans. Big fans. Yeah, Miss Fleener at first, she can suck it, okay? She's not very hospitable. Those
Well,
She
you know what?
can.
You know what I was thinking about is like everyone in this movie is insecure and broken. Like they're all dealing with something poorly, and including him.
yeah.
And so, but he's the central character. He's the hero, almost anti-hero at times, but like bringing them all together. Everyone has to deal with their demons in order for the entire town to win.
Yeah, I was trying to think of why he
The
was,
whole story is pretty redemptive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
well, everybody has something like that except for our guy Strap here. He's
Strap.
strapping dead. Did you see what it says?
Strap.
Riley caught this when we were watching it. Did you see
in
what it
case
says?
of rapture.
Yeah, above his dad, the pastor is driving the bus.
Yeah.
Above where he's sitting, it says, "In case of rapture, bus will not have a driver."
Yeah, there will be no driver. I was
So
like, that's
cool.
like
That's
that's
great.
also the most classic like
Yeah,
hometown
Yeah.
Indiana. Like they're
Yeah.
taking the church bus.
yeah.
Oh, this is our bus. Well,
Yeah,
God
our
told
coach
us
had
to
to.
paint
Our
it.
coach.
God told us to paint
Our
it.
coach had to drive our van occasionally. Like we didn't have like a bus.
Yeah, we
just
had. I think depending on size of the team, you've got that type of situation.
We always had bus drivers for basketball, but to your point, we only had, I don't know, maybe 12 or 14 tennis players.
Yep.
And so we would always
take the
take
little
the
minibus.
short
Well, that's the
buses,
same for basketball.
and then our coaches would drive.
But you also have the cheerleaders.
Yeah, and then if you had
Well, we
like
usually
you're
had, like,
bringing JV with
JV
you
and
or
varsity.
whatever.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
How many did you graduate with?
104.
You graduated with.
46.
Yeah, I mean, I was. Yeah, we were.
You went to a private school, slightly different.
True. Still, but yeah. I mean, Anderson is not. It's definitely a bigger metro compared to Milan.
I really don't.
Anderson would have been the big town.
It would have.
I mean,
it would have
Jasper
been like
was big.
Anderson's size of Anderson.
Linton was who they described as being big.
Yeah.
The size of Anderson's high school would have been the same as Muncie Central. It would have been like virtually the
I
same.
want to say we were between 300
Especially
and
back
400.
then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is now.
So you don't like Myra Fleener?
At first, I thought,
She's just dealing with her demons, man.
man. Well, okay, so to that point,
I think she also really wanted to protect Jimmy.
oh, for sure, for
Everyone's
sure. Well,
like,
her way.
everyone's abusing, not abusing him, but like using him. They're
She
using
was
him.
living through him. She had to come back to town. She was supposed to be the one that gets out, and she wants him to get out.
Right.
Like she's like, you're not gonna end up like
But
me.
to
I'm gonna,
Coach's point, basketball is the way he will get out.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
not
why
if
is
he
she
goes to
approach-
Wabash College. If he goes to Wabash College, he will get out.
Is that what that was her option?
That's what she wanted.
Wabash has a very
But-
solid basketball program.
Did she say he was smart? That his
Yes.
academics was his way out?
Yeah,
her
there's no-
argument was
I'm
even if
telling
you're
you,
good
he's
at
autistic.
even
He
if you're
is
good
on
at
the spectrum.
basketball
His
at
grades
Hickory,
are good enough to. If his grades are good enough, he can get a scholarship to go to Wabash College.
How old is Wabash?
1832, however old that is.
Oh wow. Okay.
We're talking over
Approaching
170 years.
Yeah, 200's coming up. They're
Mm.
They're making some big old plans.
Big old
Gonna
plans.
ask me for lots
Ask
of
for
money.
a lot of money. Ask for a lot of money. 220 or 200K, whatever you choose is fine. There'll probably be some $2 million gifts there. I mean, it's not unheard of.
Oh yeah,
Wabash, yeah.
definitely.
Maybe even a 2-0.
I don't think a 200 million, but probably 20 million would be.
Yeah, not from a Delt, from some, I don't know, some.
Listen, sir. There was a Delt that invented the drive-through. Okay,
There should be free tuition at Wabash.
a
So
Delt from Wabash. that
Uninterested in what
invented
you
the
guys are
drive-thru.
talking about. It's
Anyway.
not even funny.
Anyway, Wabash College gets that nod, and I just have to say I'm drinking a TWR tonight. So this is a twofer. I'm drinking a TWR. You guys know what a TWR is? Brett, do you know what a TWR is?
I don't.
A traditional Wabash beverage, which is essentially any beer.
Okay.
Any beer. That's the traditional Wabash beverage. So if you go to Crawfordsville and you ask for a TWR, you can get a beer. And this one is by Upland, and it's called Hoosier Game Day Lager. So we're just going to say it's Hoosiers.
It's got the candy
Game Day.
stripes.
Yeah,
candy cane
Marcus
stripes.
drinking a candy stripe beer is something I never thought I would see.
Listen, it's not
A
as good.
devout Purdue
it's,
fan.
It's not as good as the Purdue beers, but it's fine.
Now, you keep on saying TWR,
Yeah.
Mhm.
What does that stand
the
for?
Wabash, but
Traditional Wabash refreshment. Sorry. not
oh,
beverage.
okay. Well, now you
Refreshment.
see why we were so confused.
Yep.
Yeah,
Refreshment.
okay.
Traditional Wabash refreshment.
Traditional
Refreshment.
Wabash beverage does sound
Refreshment.
I'm bringing us back to the movie because the movie has some staples that are straight from history. The two teams at the end, the game, all of that. However, there were some monumental things about the movie that weren't true. The love stories fabrication, and then the drunkard dad assistant coach is a fabrication.
Yeah.
Both of which are kind of staples for this movie, and it makes me wonder, like, if you're creating a movie, we've always talked about the liberties. We've talked about Sir Ridley Scott, the liberties he took with some like historical context. Like, if you take those out, like maybe you focus on something else, it's nowhere near the movie.
No.
I mean, the
No.
redemption
You gotta
of the
make a
drunkard
movie.
dad
Correct.
is my favorite scene. Is that scene? Is that scene where he basically gets thrown out of the game and says, hey, it's up to you now.
No. What he says is, well, he gets thrown out on purpose.
Yeah.
He's
like, throw me out.
But then he goes up to him and he goes,
I did it
I
again.
did it again.
Yeah. But so then he had already done it once, and it was a scene where he gives them the playbook, and the players
Shooter.
are looking at him. The players are looking at Shooter, and he can't come up with anything, and it fades to black. And his son hangs his head.
Yep.
Well, in the second scene, his son hangs his head again because he thinks it's happening again, and then Shooter like kind of eases into it.
Well, his son brings
his son
him.
gives
His son
him a
is
layup.
the one who brings him like the.
He gives him.
He
He throws
says,
him a
"Do you
bone.
reckon?
He's
You
like-
reckon number 4 will take
Yeah.
the? You reckon number 4 will take the last shot, Dad?
Right.
Yeah. He probably will.
Then he's
Right,
on fire.
and then he's in it. So like they do such a good job of making you think, oh, it's gonna happen again. And then his son, like that's what almost like it actually brought me to tears when I watched it. And I've seen it 100 times.
Well,
Big deal.
But it's like,
because what Coach is trying to do is he's not only trying. He says to the son, right? He says,
Keep your head in the
has
game.
anybody ever has anybody given him a chance?
Yeah.
And the son's like, well, he doesn't deserve one, right?
right,
And
that was in class.
And I think that because Norm is getting a chance,
Yep.
he wants to give somebody that he sees that can do this a chance, but he also is trying to help prepare that relationship between father and son.
yeah,
And it's really a beautiful piece
It
of
really
this movie
is.
that is not true at all, but it's incredible
well,
storytelling.
I mean, it
and
is
it's-
true. It is true. Like they're taking it straight from exactly what happens in all scenarios, especially small towns. Like
Yeah.
it's different being a drunkard in a small town. He's known as the town drunk. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason where there's a phrase.
By the way, the town drunk that peaked in high school, and had that shot, and is exactly who the woman, what's her name? Myrna?
Myra.
She doesn't want Jimmy
to
to become that, where all these people peaked in high school and that's all they talked about, right? And I think that's really interesting.
Dude, I thought it was great. And by the way, he missed the shot.
He did.
Yeah.
But because when he walks up, it's like, oh, yep, I was in there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let her fly.
Let
In
her
and out.
fly.
So
Around the rim.
if he hits that shot, is life different for him?
Probably not.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. So the way that Coach approached Everett is Shooter's son, who we've been talking about. He was so. I want you to put yourself in Everett's shoes. You clearly have no relationship with dad, or the relationship is obviously, you see here, like, it's tense. Them even being by each other is tense.
Well, he
This-
kind of has to be the dad at the beginning. Like he.
100%. Coach just invites him to be on the bench,
Right.
and clearly didn't talk to Everett about
Didn't
it
even tell Everett.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
Did you feel any sort of way about that, or about how he kind of bulldozed it at all? It is a movie. I get that.
I
but
mean, it's one of those things where like the movie. I don't know. Like, if I'm the coach,
In real life,
I'm
obviously,
definitely going to
you're-
the kid and say, "Hey, listen, just
Yep.
want you to know I'm
100%.
doing this," especially because of the personality of the kid.
Yep.
The kid, up in like the entire movie is a coach's player.
Yep.
Like he does he's respectful. He shows up and even when he has a problem, is super respectful when he asks him about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a tough scene when he's in the classroom and he goes,
Well, right here. Yeah.
yeah, right. So it's about to happen. He's staring at him like, look how nervous and angry he is. The actor does a really great job.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be disrespectful.
Correct.
But like it's so soft spoken, and you just feel for the kid. You're
Yeah.
like, man, and he just goes, because he's a drunk and he'll do something stupid. It's like this kid has to live with that every single day,
Yeah.
and he just was like wants the pain to stop.
I just thought, Coach definitely every time was just with the right intentions, but just bulldoze, like, hey, you stay focused, keep doing your thing.
Well,
whatever.
I mean, so I called my dad, and he said that, like, I said, I know this is one of your favorite movies. What comes to mind when you think of this movie? And we talked for like 10 minutes, and probably 9 of the minutes he was focusing on like how that time was just coaching in sports was to raise men.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you were doing, is you're teaching men about life. Like we're gonna remember the stories, and I remember the stories of the games. I remember
Yep.
the stats. I remember the players. I remember the injuries, but I also things I can't even articulate come into play in my adult life because of the things that came out of basketball.
Does youth sports coaching get a bad rap in 2024 because of all the AAU and whatever, and there still are actually just as many great coaches out there doing exactly what you're talking about, Rim?
Well, I mean, I wrote down at some point. So the scene where the father brings the kid back.
I was going to bring this up. What about the other dad that becomes an assistant?
So the other dad that brings his kid back and says,
great.
"Hey, my son has something to say." He goes, "I'm sorry for skipping out. It won't happen again." And he puts him back on the team and he goes, "Sorry, man, these kids get a little lost sometimes." I wrote down, we don't see that as much anymore. And who can you blame first, the parents or the coaching? Because I will tell you that there's some bad coaches out there. And if it's a bad coach, it'd be really hard as a parent to make your kid go back to a team. Now, how they handle themselves, finishing what they start, all those kinds of things, I don't know. But I was raised in a house where even if the coach wasn't, good or doing what we thought they should, you're respectful, you show up and you do what you're supposed to do.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I agree. I think that a lot of times, there's so much money in youth sports now, Brett, all across the board, how much these parents are paying, the coaches are getting paid, there's sponsorships, they're traveling all over the place, that if the parents disagree with the coach, they literally will just take their star kid to a different team, and there's all this moving and around and things. And so are you teaching these kids how to be men? I don't know. It's something I really appreciate about the way that, like you said, I'm a Purdue fan. That's something I really appreciate about the way that the Purdue coach Matt Painter goes about things. Is he's still worried about these kids getting a great education from Purdue University, and he recruits kids who want to be there for 4 or 5 years to get bachelor's and master's degrees. And if they can play basketball really well, then great.
I would also say that's the way to win at Purdue.
Probably really smart as a program to develop seniors, because everyone else is one and done.
I mean, he had a kid that was the highest ranked recruit that was coming in this year, and
so didn't have a place for him, right?
He didn't promise him a starting role.
Yeah, and
so the kid goes to leave, tries to come back, and Painter's just no.
Yeah.
Dude, Saban has an amazing response. You guys should look it up on when a kid says, "Are you going to guarantee me a starting role?"
Mm-hmm.
It's about
give
no,
us a
but
paraphrase.
I know, dude. But you're here to compete, and I know you can I know you can earn it. You're here to compete. His just the whole developing a program about competing and nothing's given, everything's earned. You see it on the field. It's still left over from him being gone for a year. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, this year it'll be interesting because, Purdue isn't as talented as even IU, but so far...
We have a friend that will tell you IU is the best freshman class of all time. They had a great recruiting class.
They have a lot of good transfers. I don't know about a bunch of great freshmen, but they have a lot of really good transfers.
Yeah, they have freshmen taking over everything. Might be kind of over due to transfer portal people staying longer.
Well, we'll see how the COVID stuff affects it, because this is the last year. Hunter Dickinson is playing his 6th year of college basketball.
Crazy.
But all the transferring, the NIL, everything, it's all got to get fixed.
All caught up.
It's not nearly as pure as this, is what we're watching here on Hoosiers.
No, man, no free agents. Not even using dad's address to play at a different school. I think at this point, this is early in the process.
Yeah, yeah. And how about something else that I just have loved forever is when Ray is disobeying him on the court, right? So he comes and sits on the bench. Someone else fouls out, and then he doesn't let Ray go back on there.
Yeah.
And the ref comes up to him, and the ref's like, you only have 4 out here, coach. And he says, my team's on the floor.
My team is on the floor.
My team is on the floor. and not popular, not something that those parents would like or whatever, right? But I love that concept. I love that idea of like, hey, we're a team. We're in this together. You listen to me. Playing is a privilege.
Easy to do when you're already on top. Really hard to do when you're new. Nobody wants you there. You're not winning yet. Like, good for him.
Well, there's two things that I think about. The first one is you could make the argument that he is actually hurting the team because the ones that are out there need a fifth player, and so he's hurting the team. I think his response would be, I'm not hurting the team. Ray's the one that's hurting the team.
That's exactly what he would say.
The second thing I think about is the fact that this is a team sport that is a season long, and what we're trying to do is accomplish something by the end of the season, not by the end of this game.
Yeah.
And that is a very hard concept for an 18-year-old mind or a 16-year-old mind.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're probably furious in that moment, but 3 or 4 games later, when you're all gelling like a team, it's starting to make sense. And that's what's frustrating about football.
And if you're
football
trying
is
to
there's so few games.
Yeah.
That you only
every
have
game's 10% of your entire season.
Yeah, it's very tough. I mean, that and the injuries make football for me not as like if I'm putting my kid in sports, I'm not looking at football.
Yeah, me neither.
Joel Rio would argue with you that, and Joel's an amazing coach, buddy of all of ours. He's that you teach them how to play right. They're not getting injured due to that. There's still freak stuff, non-contact, whatever, but like there's a right way to play football, and you definitely got to be the aggressor. You cannot. I think if a kid is the hesitant one, that's the one that's gonna get hurt.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, I loved playing tackle football when I was a kid with all my friends. It was fun.
The same kid, by the way, 2 games later, fouls out. Coach is getting into it with this team that is playing very aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And Ray punches a player for coach.
Got him good, coach.
Oh, dude. That was one of my favorite scenes. I didn't even remember that as
defending
a scene.
Coach?
Yeah. So cool. Well, it was when you saw, like, you see him winning all these little tiny battles.
Yeah.
Like, winning all these little tiny battles, but not winning the war yet. And that's when you were like, oh, the tide's about to turn. And that's when he finds out about the vote from Miss Fleener where he might get voted off.
He does like a Superman punch, by the way. Like he like punches through him.
Yeah.
Like what actually hurts with a punch is the whip. So when you punch something or someone in this case, what actually hurts and does the damage is the whip effect. Like if you whip a towel, if you just throw it, no matter how hard you whip a towel through somebody, unless you whip it, it's not going to hurt. Punching is the same way. People don't realize that.
Meaning the whip is what hurts the other person?
Correct.
Oh.
Does the damage.
Dude, your kids aren't quite old enough yet, but the funniest thing is my son is 12 and he keeps like testing me with different things, like trying to whip a towel at me or something.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm way better at it than he is.
Oh, dude, I would light him up.
Oh, I do. I light him up. And of course, like he gets hit and it hurts, but he like comes back for more. It's hilarious. Like just having a son that's 12 that is like trying to beat me up. And I'm like, dude, come on.
Our gym teacher told us a horror story about some kid doing in the locker room, and to this day, I don't know if it was a real story or if it was just a story to
Busted
get us
testicle.
Busting
Yes.
is I think we all
the fact
heard
that we
that
all
story.
heard it. I think is we actually had on our hall though at all of that we were playing baseball with a tennis ball, or actually we weren't playing baseball.
What?
We were playing a game that you shouldn't play. As teenage boys, and someone got a ruptured testicle from.
Yeah, I've seen it happen on the basketball court before, and it is not pretty. But we used to play in our.
Like what happens? Like stuff falls out, or what are we talking about? What do you mean you saw it?
I'm saying he got hit, and then I didn't see the testicle.
Well,
sorry,
because you said you
saw it. I mean,
I
you made
saw
it
it happen where he got hit and then like couldn't walk.
I'm picturing like we just got done doing horror week with all these horror.
Dude, we used to play a game in the fraternity house. We had these fairly narrow hallways.
I like where this is going.
And we would put 2 people right next to each other on one end and 2 people next to each other on the other end. We had a tennis ball.
Yeah.
And you had to stand there, and you couldn't.
Yeah, that's what we were playing.
And you couldn't move.
Yeah.
And you would throw the tennis ball, and you're trying to hit him in the penis. Like you're trying to get him. So we called it tennis because we had the tennis ball. And
yeah, why do we play these games?
If you move, you had.
We got
to
it.
step
Actually,
closer.
that was a version of that. Is I think what we were playing, and like it got banned, as it should. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, there's only one rule at Wabash, so you don't
Okay.
get banned unless it's ungentlemanly behavior. And that's gentlemanly if everybody agrees to it.
Are those new shoes too?
No, I've had these for a while.
Look good, man.
Just getting new clothes, man. Just feels fresh.
Yeah, it's nice.
Feeling
Where we at,
good,
Brett?
Feeling fresh. Well, we're kind of turning the tone here to where Jimmy enters the picture.
Oh yeah.
He stops by town hall right after votes are getting tallied to fire coach.
He goes, I'd like to play basketball now.
That's a terrible Jimmy impression.
That's a great Jimmy. That is probably. Whoa,
Don't know if it makes a difference or not, but it's
Jimmy
time for me to
announces
start playing basketball again.
to a roaring town hall that he is ready to come play basketball. However, there's an ultimatum, Marcus. What's the ultimatum that Jimmy makes if he's going to play basketball?
Coach stays, I stay. Coach goes, I go.
Which is really funny because he hasn't said a single word to coach.
He's been watching though.
He's just watching.
He
coach.
watched him throw the first player out. He's at every game. He's at the pep rally where coach stands up for him.
That also was an awesome moment.
The pep rally?
Yeah,
that's right.
where they say we want Jimmy, and then the coach says, "These are the guys this is your team. These are the guys that are putting their hard work in and their sweat, and that deserves your respect."
I've got that actual quote. Let me read that whole quote.
That was an awesome moment.
It was a great moment.
So they start chanting for Jimmy, and coach is like, "No, we're not doing this." So he gets on the mic and he goes, I would hope you would support who we are, not who we are not. These 6 individuals have made a choice to work, a choice to sacrifice, to put themselves on the line 23 nights for the next 4 months to represent you, this high school. That kind of commitment and effort deserves and demands your respect. This is your team.
Yeah, so good.
He's got that is.
I mean, that's leadership.
It is. It's leadership. And at his town hall, he goes, I regret nothing. This is what I'm trying to do for these boys.
Yeah.
It does. It has a lot
and that's
of
why it really resonated with your dad in that way. And I think
that's why it's hard for people to get rid of. And I know there's some disagreements on this, and there's people that will hate that I'm saying this, but that's why people think there's parallelisms with Bobby Knight, because Bobby Knight, before he started hitting people, and even when he was just losing his temper, really cared and really wanted the best for everybody and demanded perfection because he knew that it would prepare them for life. And that's one of the big qualms against these one and doners is you only have 1 year. You're not going to develop anyone in basketball, let alone life, in 1 year.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a money game.
Yeah.
Right. It's how much money do we need to pay you for you to be here?
Yeah.
So that we can put
that's
this product
absolutely
on
what it
the
is.
floor.
I wrote down, coach is not afraid to say hard things to anyone. He's kind of at this point. Do you feel like he feels like he's playing with house money at this point?
I think
where
so.
It's like, what else? I mean,
After
I have to
Jimmy,
be-
after
yeah.
town hall, yeah.
He's like, I've got to be me.
even before that, I feel like
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down being me.
my way. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's interesting the parallelisms with the last movie we just did, which is Dead Poet Society, where the hero is voted out of the school and doing things the way he believes is best. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. We just arrived to both our conversation, but also the movie where Shooter takes over in the game for coach, gets kicked out on purpose. One of my favorite quotes in the movie, turns to the referee, he goes, "Throw me out. Kick me out, throw me out." And he gets kicked out. And then Shooter takes over. When his son, when Everett says to him, what was it? You reckon
number 4 is gonna take the last shot, Dad?
it reminded me of something I've said many times of maturity has no age. You can't wait on mom or dad to
Right.
do the right thing ever. And I'm not talking to my kids. I'm talking to myself. Whatever. He realized in that moment, I'm the adult here, and I got to step up and help.
Yeah,
my dad.
I think we've talked about your upbringing and how there's a lot of parallelisms there. And Marcus and I were pretty fortunate to have a very involved father that probably wouldn't have a lot of similarities to this particular father. However, I was sitting here thinking that it doesn't take much for our kids to have to be a leader in a situation if we drop the ball. Like if we drop the ball,
Yeah.
like it's very possible where our kid is in the right, we're in the wrong, and the amount of time we spend there is, I think, what really dictates us in our leadership. Like we're going to drop the ball.
Yep.
It will happen.
Well, and I think that part of being a family is preparing and teaching your kids, especially as they grow older, to lift you up in those moments, to lift others up. Like that's part of why it's neat to be in these bigger families that we all have, is that if any one person is dropping the ball, then the others should be able to step up and pull you up out of it with them.
Yeah.
Be there beside
Like
you.
when Noah was drunk and naked, they had to cover him up, pick
They
Dad
had to
up.
cover him up.
Dad, you shouldn't be doing that.
Come on, Dad.
We were
Can't believe Ham didn't walk in backwards.
Have you ever been to Noah's Ark,
I
the
haven't.
replica
I
in
haven't been
Cincinnati?
Yep.
So we were at the replica.
You
and
haven't?
I haven't.
It's
Oh,
phenomenal.
it's
It's very
crazy.
cool.
I want to go. I just haven't been
A
there.
few years back, like it's actually like 10 years ago, we were at the Noah's Ark replica, and I go live on Facebook to mess with my mom, and I go, "Here we are at Moses Ark," and I start doing all this bad Bible,
Yeah.
like everything's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm saying all the wrong names, I'm saying all the wrong quotes, and my mom's freaking out, but she knows I'm on Facebook Live, so she's like trying to stay out of the picture. As soon as I got done, she was so mad at me. She's like, "You got that all wrong. You're gonna lead all these people down the wrong path."
Oh, jeez.
So one quick thing, by the way, you have to go see it.
Yeah,
I think
will.
Creation Museum is right next to it as well.
Yeah.
They're kind of tandem.
Yeah.
Is it Cincy or is it over? Is it Kentucky technically?
That's whatever.
Yeah. Kentucky,
Cincinnati,
Cincy-
Kentucky,
Cincy-
Northern Kentucky,
Cincy-
same thing.
So crazy because I'm the newest Christian of the group. When I first went, I went with your family. It was-
So mom, that was you. She was protecting you. That's why she was mad at me.
So, but they go through all the different animals that were on the ark, and some of them are very like obviously like dinosaur face. And I go, if someone would have just told me that there were dinosaur-like animals on the ark, I would have believed this a long time ago. As a like that was something that never came up. I just always believed like, oh, if you're a Christian, you don't believe in dinosaurs. It's not a thing.
You don't believe that dinosaur bones are real if you're a Christian?
That's what I believed as a I believed
Really?
as a non-Christian growing up that all Christians did not believe that there were
In
ever
dinosaurs?
Correct.
Oh, I don't know what Christians you were hanging around.
But it's assumptions that get made of like there's this way to think and that way. Just food for thought. Just tell some people dinosaurs were on the ark. They might love Jesus.
Sure.
Isn't it crazy how big dinosaurs got and all they ate were plants? Like some of them, the herbivores, like horses. They don't eat meat. They're just massive, muscular beings.
Well, there's a lot of whales that don't eat meat.
It's crazy.
They're pretty.
Because I have to eat meat to get to be as big as a horse.
Yeah, man. If you see a cow, you just
I'm
wanna,
gonna smash that cow.
you smash that cow.
Smash that cow.
Many.
Hey, can we? I'm gonna give you a quote because we were talking about this, but that specific part where they steal the ball and then he says, "We're gonna run the picket fence at him."
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna run the picket fence at him, boys. Don't get caught watching the paint dry. Oh, I've said that so many times
Don't
in my
get
life.
caught watching the paint dry.
That's good. MVP votes for the tournament. Here's the deal. Jimmy had a good championship game. Strap really might be the MVP, man. I mean, he really, really, really might be. The prayers. By the way, is it significant that coach never prays with the team? That he's not? Are they trying to make a point that he is not religious at all?
I don't know. After I read
outsider?
the fact that they cut out 48 crucial minutes, I don't know that we can take a stance on something like that. But
That's fair.
Could be.
Yeah. We get it.
I would say he's probably definitely being portrayed as other.
For sure. There's not
Yep.
like, I think if you're going to portray him as a God-fearing man, it would be abundantly clear, and it definitely was not.
Before we move on to some championship game moments, thoughts, anything leading up to it, you guys want to dig into?
Sectionals were so much cooler before class basketball. Like I'm not saying they aren't cool now.
Well,
they
now-
are still a big deal. But,
to my knowledge, just everybody gets into sectionals.
well,
Like,
everybody got
everyone
into
starts.
sectionals. Everybody,
even then. Okay, got it.
But winning a sectional
Yeah.
was exceptionally difficult.
Yeah.
It was the goal.
Well,
you
now
know?
they have tournaments for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like they have like Madison County tournament. They have
Right. I know.
counties.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I get it, and I'm not saying that it's better or worse for the tournament as a whole. But what I'm saying is that the idea of a sectional championship has been diluted compared to what it was. Like,
Let me ask you
I
something.
talked a little bit about Madison, and I remember when I was in elementary school, I did some research on Madison High School. So it was my elementary school, and my grandparents, my great-grandpa was on one of the first basketball teams at Madison High School, and they won a sectional championship, and it was in
cool.
the yearbooks, and I did a whole report on that group, and it was pretty neat.
I just feel like the amount of David and Goliath stories that actually happen are so rare compared to the years of just little guys getting thumped on.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
If there's a game that's going to happen, though, it's basketball.
what?
If there's a game that David can beat Goliath, it's
Sure.
basketball. I think in football, horrible idea, obviously. A lot of sports, horrible idea. Basketball, you get one stud or one great coach that knows what they're doing. Absolutely.
Well, you know
most
what?
possible in basketball.
You know what isn't classed still in Indiana is tennis. And so, like when I was in high school, we won sectionals often. We had a very good tennis program, but we were a very small school. And then we'd go and we'd play at regionals against. So we were a 2A school. I graduated with 104, and we were playing against 6A schools in regionals. And my junior year, no, my sophomore year, we were literally like inches away from winning regionals, and it would have been like
I love
the
it
biggest
because you're
thing that
playing
had
you're
ever
playing
happened.
tennis for fun as your throwaway sport, getting ready for basketball season. And there's
Oh
some
no, tennis was like my sport.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
How long before pickleball is a high school sport?
Dude,
that'd
it
be
happens.
sad, right?
It happens quick. I remember at lacrosse when I was in high school. I didn't even know any teams in the entire state had lacrosse teams.
Yeah.
And then I remember moving down to Indy in 09. So I graduated in 06. 09 I moved down. There were definitely some local schools in Indy that had lacrosse teams, and now that's like one of the most popular sports.
I'm sure
in the
that
entire-
pickleball is a club at a lot of these high schools and stuff, but
Yeah, it's cool.
I guess I would struggle with it being like a sport.
Why?
If table tennis has
'Cause it's
never
just so
become a
easy
sport,
to
why would
Get into.
There's some sports
I guess at the highest, it's not that different than basketball because you could only have so many people on your team, so they would be really good players.
I think if you got an entire school or state to start doing like
Yeah, that'd be
ping
fun.
pong club or something
Yeah.
like that.
I can't
you could
explain
make
it. I can't define it. I can't tell you in words, but there's some clubs that are more of a rec thing, or some sports that are a
It's
rec
all
thing.
about us. It's all about us. Think about soccer in the states compared to the rest of the world. It's because we have sports that we like better. That's all it is. That's it.
Do you think
football,
do
American
you think
football,
cornhole will ever be a high school sport?
sport?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I feel like cornhole's a game.
Do you
That's
call
what a game.
Do you
Game
call
is the-
chess like a high school sport?
Ooh.
It's not I mean, you can make sport of anything, but I don't think people would call it a sport. But chess is very well, it's played at.
Yeah.
So I think
There's
cornhole.
national rankings and stuff. Okay, let's get back to the movie here. You asked as we get up to the
What else you got before
the
we get
finals
to the championship game?
How about those free throws from Ollie?
The air ball or the ones he hits?
The ones that he hits. Have you guys? Well, hitting those after airballing that is pretty impressive. But have you ever had game-winning free throws in a situation like that?
Game-winning shot, not free. I don't know about free throws.
I had a game-winning shot once. No free throws though.
Yeah, I never. In high school, I didn't, but I do remember against our biggest rival in 7th grade. I was on the line with 2 shots, and I had to make them both with very little time left. And I just remember that gym was going.
Free throws are rough
insane.
when there's lots
even
stuff
in
going on, you're
7th
nervous.
grade.
Yeah.
Even in 7th grade, there is so much adrenaline pumping.
Oh yeah.
And in that case, I actually made them. But because I always had the ball in my hand at the end, a lot of times I'm the one that's getting fouled. So there were multiple times where I would have free throws at the end that you need to make, but not like to win the game, but to keep the lead.
This will shock you guys, but versus being the shooter, I was definitely known as the assist man passer.
Oh,
Assists
really?
and turnovers, lots of.
I remember some Brett Favre
3-1.
Some Brett Favre passes.
Oh man,
You guys have
Pick up
played,
with
so you guys have played a little bit with my high school team because we live close to
Yeah.
where. So
Yeah.
the core of my high school, we had we had a really good team, and we had some scorers, and we had 2 or 3 guys that were much more gifted scorers than I was. So I could shoot, but it wasn't my game. I was a rebounder, and I freaking loved it. And I was the number 2 rebounder in the county 2 or 3 years in a row, and the guy ahead of me was 7 feet tall. His name was Gary McGee, and he was a goofball. He airballed a dunk one time, but he was just 7 feet tall, so he got him all. He actually ended up going to Pitt and having a pretty good college career. But yeah, I mean, we loved getting in the paper on Monday morning to see where we ranked in the county.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh man, I still have it somewhere.
I was always the energy guy, like 6th or 7th man, depending on. But I would be the guy that would come in and just like stick to somebody on defense.
Everyone
or,
says
like,
call him a spark plug.
Yeah,
put in the
come in
spark
and
plug.
move.
This is what we do. We create a podcast so we can talk about our high school victories.
I've actively tried to be talking about it the least, just so you guys are aware, because I felt
Do you
it.
know how it's coming off? Coach would have put me in. We were one state.
That's so good.
No, I was never the best in basketball.
How many years between coach and Miss what's her name? What's our guess?
He does seem like
They're
he's
both
older, but
adults.
it's not much.
They're both adults.
Okay, so to answer the question,
I don't know, she's
she
in her
says that
40s and he's
set the-
approaching
set
50.
the- set the so you think it's less than 10 years?
I do.
I think it's in the 10 range.
You
Yeah.
think in this so think about this. He coached college basketball how many years?
I don't know.
10? He was away at the Navy for 10? So that means he's at least
He's 50 is what she says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
And-
think she's she does okay.
She's one of those where she could be 35, she could be 50, you know.
She could be 29.
She's not 29. She's at least 35.
How about, so this is a hidden gem, but we're all over the place. This is off the rails. How about how the parents, like, since the bench is like right there, the parents are just in the meeting. Like they're just they're in the timeout. They're a part of it. I mean, even in pros to this day, it's so. What's crazy is about pro seating is they're selling bench seats now.
Dude,
like you literally can buy it.
right
you
there.
can be on the bench. Like LeBron's here, I'm there. $1,000.
Dude, down there on the floor is a different experience.
It is. It is.
I've
These
never
guys
sat
are
with my
those guys
feet on
are
the floor.
avatars.
I've never sat with my feet on the floor.
They are
I've never done
avatars. They are avatars.
Have you
Yeah.
sat on the floor?
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
I mean I've been like 2-3 rows back, but it is nuts. Like
Yeah.
they're freaks.
well, I'm also pretty small.
I go back to Bill Murray's quote about the Olympics. Every Olympic game should have one normal person for scale.
100%.
That'd be really fun to have one
Or
normal
our
person.
Olympics that we do should have one Olympian for scale.
The
Guys,
400.
I'm there
Yeah.
every year. Every year. Okay, so they get to in this case do they call it Butler Fieldhouse or they call it Hinkle in this movie?
I think it was Butler at the time.
So they get there, they arrive through the back and gets out the tape measure,
Yeah.
measures free throw line. I wonder everybody knows that now, but the first time everybody saw that had to be a really cool moment.
Did you guys ever have a coach that did all these things?
Yes.
I had
didn't
one.
know.
Yes.
I had a coach that did all these things.
100%.
And he would even quote what he was doing. He didn't try to steal it every time.
Exactly.
But he'd be like, "Hey, they did this in Hoosiers," and then the very next game he would do it.
So that same seventh
Wigwam. He did it at the
same
Wigwam.
7th grade year, our coach was terrible. He didn't really know basketball at all,
Yeah.
and they just didn't have a basketball coach.
He
and-
was some second year
And so-
teacher, 24 years old.
No, he was our middle in high
$1,000.
school. He was our middle in high school, like music and drama teacher, and he's so.
I'm not trying to put people in corners or squares.
I
Here, but that
literally
seems like a weird
remember.
pick.
I literally remember before our first game, he like stood by the thing. He's like, "Welcome to Indiana Middle School basketball," and he just walks out, just like Norm does. Is like, "Welcome to Indiana basketball." It's so stupid.
All right, so
That's
since
great.
we're on this topic, I wrote about this last year, and the wigwam, as I was telling you about earlier, I went to a school that had 46 kids that graduated in class, and we were a half an A,
Yeah.
and we were playing against a 4A school. So we drew for the Madison County tournament because we entered the IHSA the year before. We drew to see who played who, and it was all being played at the wigwam. We drew the Indians, and we were going to get crushed. So my coach, who was known for pulling out the tape measure, doing all the things,
Yeah.
he drew inspiration from Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. And so he didn't tell us he was doing this until he got into the locker room before the game. But for 6 nights before the game, he walked around the wigwam. And on the 7th day, he walked around the wigwam 7 times and prayed and prayed for victory. All right? Which is kind of a cool story. We got crushed. We got obliterated. But here's the thing. So that coach, he did so many goofy things like that, but he really cared and he loved us. And that year, we went from being a Christian school playing like homeschoolers basically to 5 to 8 points away from a sectional victory. Like it was a brutal loss. It was the best game I ever played. I played against my dad's old high school. I had a double-double. He cried. He wept in the locker room. That was my last game ever senior year. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Well, if you flash forward 10 years, he did all those things and we didn't get the victory that night. We didn't get the victory that night. We didn't get the victory that year. 10 years later, coach took him and won state championship, 2016. And so I share that story with people to let them know, in those moments, everyone thinks that was the end of the story. Well, for him, that was the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
That was all acts of faith for the next 10 years, doing stuff like that. Finally got the achievement that everyone wishes to have. So anyway, there's something romantic about Indiana basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
And you can learn so much from just watching the antics of these coaches.
I
man.
just love how his whole point of measuring the free throw line, measuring the hoop, is to show the boys that, dude, this is no different than where we play. And then walking out, he looks at the assistant coach, he's like, it is kind of big, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he didn't measure the other players.
Now, is that
You
what
have 12
Hinkle,
brothers and sisters?
is that what Hinkle looks like today? I've
Yeah.
not been in Hinkle in a long time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's not been renovated.
Awesome.
I mean, it has, but not for. not much.
So championship game, I've got a piece of movie magic that I think happened. No dunks by South Bend. What are we doing? There's no way.
Well, back then,
In high school, you weren't allowed to dunk.
Oh, that's right.
You weren't allowed to dunk in. I'm sorry. You weren't allowed. At least even when I was in high school, you were not allowed to dunk in warm-ups.
Pre-game, you cannot touch the rim.
Yeah.
You can't touch the rim. That's the
I
rule.
don't
You
know
can't touch
why. Why was that ever a thing?
I don't know, but I know that.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I do know why. Because they would break the rims. They weren't built very well.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they didn't.
Probably weren't built to give.
Dude, Shaq breaks the backboard in a high school game. Game's over.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
that was in
done.
the first half.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, they were not allowed to dunk.
Got it. Well, no movie magic then. No movie magic.
That's interesting. We should look that up. I wonder if that's true. If they weren't allowed to dunk in the game.
I'm 95% sure because I think that even into the 70s, I'm not even sure they were allowed to dunk in college.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to do a fact check on this.
I'm
Trump.
thinking like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Could he dunk?
Lou Alcindor. I'm not even sure that they were allowed to dunk, or if they were, I don't think coaches liked for them to.
Hey, do we know why she's just making this big mug pile with a hoe?
Well, it's March, and the almanac said to.
Yeah, she said the almanac.
So what's she doing? She's getting all soft so she can put the seed in?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
that's what I told Kelsey. She wasn't buying it.
What'd
She
she
said,
think?
you're just acting smart. I was like, this is pretty clearly what she's doing there.
Yeah, man.
What did she think she was doing?
I don't know. Do you guys
Farmer's
ever use a
Almanac, what
hula
is it?
hoe? You know what a hula hoe is?
Yes.
Those things are awesome.
A hula hoe.
Yeah, so instead
The
of
hoe
like
with
a
the-
hoe is just a flat shovel that digs down.
Yes.
A hula
a
hoe
spade.
has it has the middle cut out so that you're like scraping under, almost like a,
You're getting the weeds and stuff out, pulling it up.
and then having it instead of hacking at it, you're going
we've
under
got
and pulling up.
We've got a hula hoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Oh yeah,
You don't even have a mower, but you have a hula hoe?
got a hula hoe. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to out you, but
Hey man,
I did.
my guy does a great job.
Do you have a self-propelled mower yet?
Yeah.
Oh,
I bought
you
one this
sell
year.
out. You sell out.
I bought it so that I didn't have to mow and my kids could.
Which one? The 12-year-old?
Ruining your children.
Well, the 10-year-old's better than the 12-year-old because the 10-year-old goes in straighter lines.
Oh man. He's
None
out
of
of
my
it.
girls will ever be seen mowing with a self-propelled mower.
They'll never
They
be
won't be
seen
seen
mowing,
mowing,
at
yes.
all.
When he called press, I remember, like, I loved playing press full court.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just build a team that is so, like, you could just do that all game if you really,
Rick Pitino.
dude, just a huge hack over. That's a great way if you're not as skilled or talented as another team to really weigh it out. Why'd you wait, man? So good. I wish all my coaches would have ran press.
1-3-1.
Oh, dude, they always not always, but oftentimes they will make.
Do you ever
the bad
see zone
decision.
defense in the pros?
Yeah. It's interesting zone defense.
Like 2-3 zone?
No, it's more like a zone actually designed to try to force, because now everybody shoots.
Right.
So you think of zone as being like, we want to make them shoot from the outside.
Well, you definitely see it in like college. Like Syracuse is known for their 2-3.
They recruit for it for sure.
Yeah.
But this is more, I feel like, designed to try to force them to not shoot threes.
Pros play more of like a matchup zone, but it is zone.
Mm-hmm.
They for a long time they weren't allowed to,
Mm-hmm.
but they are now, and it'll be more of like a matchup zone.
Final timeout, championship game. Coach basically tries to outthink himself. Draws up a play for using
that's
Jimmy
good.
as a decoy.
Yeah.
Dude, let your stars be stars, man. Don't
And
overthink
all the
it.
players knew it.
Yeah. Good for him. And to your point, Jimmy doesn't speak much. Knew when to speak up.
It reminds me of Jordan, though. It reminds me of when Jordan, his freshman year, takes the shot, and everyone thinks no one thinks he's going to take the shot because he's a freshman. And
Yep.
They think he's going to pass it.
Yep.
But the coach and everyone else knew he was that guy. Like that's who Jimmy was.
Well, this is like what this reminds me of is it's like the opposite of what happened with the Colts to go to the playoffs last year when Steichen put Goodson in instead of just giving the ball to
Let me
freaking
tell you
Jonathan
about
Taylor.
that play. Let me tell you. And what's crazy is Goodson is a very good football player.
Yeah.
He should be in front of Sermon. Like he's got so much potential. But to put someone who caught 2 passes all year
In that situation.
situation, and you're taking a quarterback who isn't the best player on his own offense and removing the best player, Jonathan Taylor, who should have,
I felt so bad for him.
Who,
I felt
Goodson
for
or-
Goodson. For Goodson, I did. I felt so bad.
yeah,
for
what
him.
are we putting him in that position for?
Well, it wouldn't matter who it was. I would have felt bad, but definitely him, where it's like, dude, you got to put all this pressure on yourself. Do you think that was the one read? That was it? Like this is the
No, it wasn't the one read. It was Steichen. Like you said, it was Steichen out thinking himself.
Well, it was the play though. I mean, and it would have gotten him exactly the right amount. But my whole point is,
I'm saying, was that
you give the ball to Jimmy, you give the ball to Jonathan Taylor. You got
so
1
it wasn't
yard.
the read.
You got
That
2
wasn't
yards.
the play.
Well, no, not the right play. I'm just saying that the play that was called, that was the first read where it was like that. It's
Oh,
where the
that
ball-
for sure was the right
Yes.
read. It was
Yeah.
a miss. It was a missed throw. It wasn't
Yeah.
even Goodson's fault. It was a bad throw.
Best quotes. We're ready for
Okay.
best quotes.
Sure.
Let's rock and roll. One of my favorite quotes. It was early. Coach is rethanking Cletus, the school principal, and Cletus goes, "Now let's not be repeating ourselves." I just love that quote. I'm gonna reuse that quote anytime somebody tries to rethank me or apologize to me again. Let's not go repeating ourselves. I'm stealing it.
That's good.
Yeah,
Strap. God wants you on the floor.
Yeah.
that one too.
Inspiring. You know what? Great coaches say the right things at the right times, And that's what Strap needed to hear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How about it's my experience that no one's replaceable.
Oh yeah.
No one's irreplaceable. Sorry. No one's irreplaceable.
Cannot replace.
Cannot
Gary-
replace.
Cannot replace
Gary
Gary
Bertier.
Bertier.
This is a hidden quote,
Oh.
but they fight, they get into the glass, and one of the coaches says, my player can't even play because of these hooligans. And the ref says, if you lose, then we will protest. Let's play. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
He goes, let's just play it out. So, if you win, it doesn't matter. Let's just...
Yeah, I think that's good
it's kind of like soccer. Like this would do in soccer. Like you have right of play, and
Yep.
if you fall, and they start doing that in basketball.
They do try to do it in basketball. I'm actually a big fan of it.
You actually like it. Like, hey, if you get this bucket, you don't really deserve an and one.
You'll
for
watch
this.
them wait to call a foul until somebody misses a shot, and people are like, "Oh, what the heck?" But I get it. I think it's
If that's truly what they're doing, and they acknowledge that's what they're doing, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they've made it abundantly clear that is
I think
what
they
they're
should.
doing.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Well, I already said a lot of these quotes. Think of chewing gum. By the end of the game, I want to know what flavor he is.
Yes.
I was such a nerd. So you said, do you ever have coaches that use this stuff
Do the
all
goofy
the time?
stuff. Yeah.
Well, I definitely went up to at least one of my coaches and told him what gum the kid had in his mouth.
Spearmint. What, Mangus?
Yeah,
Spearmint.
no, they got it. They got it because we're all nerds.
I said it before, but I just want to reiterate the way that Gene Hackman delivers the line to Shooter. I've done it again after he gets himself kicked out. Is perfect. It is perfect.
So when Strap goes in, he also says, don't shoot the ball unless you're under the basket and all by yourself.
And then he goes off.
He goes crazy.
He goes off, man.
All right, how about this one? Look, mister, there's two kinds of dumb. A guy that gets naked and runs around in the snow and barks at the moon, and a guy who does the same in my living room. First one don't matter. The second one you're kind of forced to deal with. Like, there's a better way to say that. The jokes, when people crack a joke and it's like a really long punchline like that with a bunch of adjectives, I just don't think it's funny.
No, and Billy Bob Thornton
I don't
wasn't
think
the
he
right
was-
guy to deliver
I don't
it.
think he was trying to be.
By the way, it wasn't Billy Bob Thornton. It was that guy in Rudy too, because it was the same director.
It was?
Yeah.
He says, is that a threat? Right? Yes, absolutely, it's a threat.
Two kinds of dumb.
Yeah, the last one I had, I literally have said all of these throughout
Me
the course
too.
of this. The last one I had though that I just really, I'll make it. That's all.
Oh,
That's all Jimmy
Jimmy.
says.
Jimmy.
Jimmy just says. He just looks at him and he just says, "I'll make it."
The original Jimmy Buckets.
Oh,
Yeah.
So there's a couple of movie reviews that I just kind of stumbled upon, and one of them says this movie is authentic nostalgia for anyone who grew up in the Midwest in the 50s and 60s.
yeah.
I've talked to people from Illinois. I've talked to people in Michigan. I've talked to people in Ohio. I've talked to people in Kentucky.
Not
They
the same.
all say it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's different in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
was.
it is.
I used to have to go down to Kentucky quite a bit to work, and I sold some internet to these, or one of my reps sold some internet to these guys who owned a brewery, and so then when I'm down there and I'm staying overnight, I would just go and hang out at the brewery with them. So I got to know them, and then I realized that on certain nights of the week they would go and have a pickup basketball game. And I'm looking at these guys, and I'm like, yeah, they're not any good at basketball. Like, that's just my thinking. And when you play pickup basketball in Indiana, like, you are playing with people who are good.
Yeah.
Like, almost anywhere you go.
They all played.
Almost
they know the
anywhere
rules,
you
they know
go,
how to
you're
play.
playing with people that are good. And so I was like, well, hey, if you guys want me to play, just let me know. I'll come down. I'll bring my
Marcus
shoes
puts
down.
up 57
I was like,
points
I'll
in
bring-
20 minutes.
I'll bring my shoes down, and I don't need to talk about the actual game, which was funny in itself. But they were like, "Well, can you play?" And I my answer, without really thinking about it, was, "Well, I'm from Indiana," and they took a little bit of offense to that because they're from Kentucky, and I was like, "No, I don't think you guys understand." and then I get there and I see all of them and I'm like, yeah, they really didn't understand.
Can you play?
So
I would have guessed Kentucky was close, just as great as Kentucky has been as a program for so long.
well, the thing is, a lot of the kids that play in Louisville and Kentucky
from
and
Indiana.
stuff are from Indiana.
From Indiana. That's
Yeah.
true.
A lot of the kids
Illinois,
that play in
too.
Ohio
Illinois
and
is starting
Michigan
that.
and Illinois, a lot of them are from Indiana.
Yeah.
Per capita, it's absurd how many like pros and college players and stuff are out of Indiana.
And more quotes for you, Rem?
No, I
Before we
got
get
some
to
hidden gems.
Oh, I got
Hidden
some hidden
gems.
gems too.
The old ref outfits.
Oh yeah, those are sweet.
Vintage.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
How
of
about-
old
horrible.
clothes, how about short ties?
Yeah,
So
I did not
weird.
understand that. I was like, why is he tying his tie so short? And then I looked and everyone was doing it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's weird. How about belts on their shorts?
Oh, for
Ooh.
basketball.
Their basketball shorts
Yeah.
had belts on them. You didn't see that?
No.
They had belt
I don't
loops,
think
everything.
elastic had been invented
Yeah.
or
Belts.
ties in.
They have belts on their short shorts.
Oh, man.
I'm a big belt guy. I wear belts with shorts. If I can wear a belt, I'm wearing a belt.
Well, if you can, if it's certain situations look very weird without a belt.
Do you guys wear jeans without belts?
I don't.
Do you ever wear like dress pants without belts?
I
No,
don't.
Yeah, I gotta have a belt.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I think it's weird. I wrote down hidden gem high school bus trips just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just awesome.
Mhm.
So many memories.
Games.
So many shenanigans.
Yep.
So ridiculous.
So at the end of every, I'm sure you guys had similar situations in your sports. One parent would kind of volunteer to buy everybody dinner after
Yeah.
the game. So we have JV and varsity, and
It was always Wendy's.
It was baseball.
Fazoli's.
We were playing in South Bend somewhere actually, and I was a junior, so it was my first year on varsity. And my aunt signs up, and I don't know if she forgot she signed up, but she did. Whatever. So we get on the bus, and the bus driver's like, some lady just dropped off a box of 120 bean and beef burritos from Taco Bell. If you know my aunt, it's 100% like, I need 100 beef and bean burritos. Yeah. And my team went wild. Absolutely wild. It was the best thing ever.
That's so funny.
Whoever had food the next game was not going to win that one.
So here's a hidden gem that I found out in my meeting today that Kelsey took a picture of me as I was walking in. The guy that I was meeting with was in elementary school, like right after this movie came out, in Warsaw, Indiana. And he said that one of the guys that was on the South Bend team, right? One of the guys that was on the South Bend team
in the movie.
Yep. One of the actors was a star basketball player at Warsaw. And so as the
It was
movie
this
came
dude
out,
for sure. This dude could play.
as the movie came out, this guy goes around to all the elementary schools and stuff like that. And my buddy Wes, he said that, you know, he's in 5th grade or 4th grade or whatever. He said his question for the guy was, "Hey, I noticed that on the chalkboard, your actual name was on the chalkboard as one of the people. Were those everybody's real names?" And the names that were on the chalkboard were those people's real names.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, Indiana high
That
school
is a hidden
basketball
gem.
players.
I thought you were going to say, he was like, I actually went in and wrote my real name on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
No, it really is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I read that fun fact that is verified.
I have one more piece of movie magic, hidden gem. The South Bend Central coaches and how they acted after losing a game on a last-second shot. Not real. Not believable at all.
I guess I'd have to
Oh,
see
dude,
it.
they're like
They're shrugging it off.
smiling. They're like coming over and like celebrating with the like it's weird. It's strange.
Like we're happy for you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not accurate.
Yeah, not happening. Hidden gems, Rem. anything
Solid passing from Gene Hackman. You can tell he's not acting. He knows basketball. Like in that
He
can
verse,
whip it.
he's whipping it.
Oh, yeah,
He's
yeah, that's
getting it
true.
back. Like you can, like I said this at the beginning, but you can tell if someone's acting in a sport. There's so many bad actors with like form, and it's like you do not play that sport.
else? We our girls like the songs in High School Musical.
Mm-hmm.
Zach
Oh my
Efron
gosh,
is
dude.
very bad.
The basketball in High School Musical is really, really bad.
It's very bad.
Yeah. I'll just say Last Hidden Gem is, this movie came out in 87, I think, 86. And
86.
And, the Pacers today will still have hickory nights where they wear hickory jerseys.
Dude, they wore them a lot one season.
Even though it's
Milan.
even though it's Milan,
Yep.
even though Hickory is not a real place, it's fictitious.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Rocky.
I just think that's kind of like the Rocky statue in Philly. That's a really good example, Rem. It's just crazy how, one movie, lives within a state and the whole state owns it like that. It's pretty cool.
Here's a fun fact
Who knew
for you.
Hoosiers could be this entertaining?
Who knew? So I got a fun fact about DePaul University, which that's where you went, right?
Oh my goodness!
So Marcus went to DePaul.
By the way,
No,
it
Marcus
is,
did not go to DePaul.
As we record this, it is Bell Week,
Yeah,
and DePaul is ranked number 6 in the nation.
are they?
Wabash is right outside the top 20. Winner goes to the playoffs. I've been told by my
Winner
reps.
definitely goes to
So
the
serious
Wabash-
question: are you going to watch that or the Tyson fight with Jake Paul?
By the way,
Shut up.
Tyson Paul is on Netflix. Is it just for free on Netflix? You have
Couldn't tell
Netflix,
you.
you watch it?
Couldn't tell you.
Dude, anybody? I mean, that Mona and Bell game is so fun.
All right, so Steve Holler, who
time.
played Raid,
So it is Raid with a D.
Raid.
Raid, not Ray. Raid.
Steve Holler played basketball for DePaul University at the time of filming. When the movie was released, the NCAA wanted to penalize him for playing basketball for money. The NCAA eventually ruled out that he had been hired as an actor, not as a basketball player. He still got a 3-game suspension and was told to return 5% of his pay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you believe that? I mean, you want to talk about like before NIL days.
I mean,
Oh,
DePaul
man.
people are cheaters. That's just
Let's
the way
not
it
get
is.
distracted on your little petty whatever.
It's
but
not
like
petty.
that's
It's true. I'm spewing.
he was an
facts.
NCAA player, got busted for getting paid because he was in this movie. That's pretty funny to me.
All right.
Worth it. Worth it. Worth it.
We gotta throw a little question into the hidden gems here because
Okay.
this is a good one. Remakeable?
Hoosiers, absolutely remakeable.
I'd get behind it.
I think you could remake this and make it better.
I think so too.
And I like the movie.
I really like the movie.
But like
Actually,
there's definitely from the 80s or even just period places where it's like the audio's not good. So Gene Hackman thought it was going to be a flop. I don't know what it was about the filming, but I had a ton of notes about how much he just thought it was going to be a flop. He did not get along with the director. The director said he had his first panic attack or anxiety attack from working with Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman tried to get him fired. Like it was kind of chaos throughout the whole thing.
Isn't it so interesting how like this Casablanca was that way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that I've heard of that were just Gladiator.
So the
Absolute
same thing with those
disasters.
movies. The only thing that kept the movie going was Gene Hackman's agent had to see dailies, and every time they saw dailies, they're like, okay, they're actually putting something together. Gene Hackman was so frustrated that he was coming in for his audio to redo some of his audio, and he said, just let me screen the movie, and he screened it, and he was like, he went into the producers and the director and whipped off his glasses, and he goes, how did you guys do that?
No way.
Yeah.
It's like when
awesome.
it's like we're about to get family photos on Friday. That's
Yeah.
how I feel every time we get our family
Dude,
photos.
sure.
back.
100%.
For sure.
I'm just like,
You're like,
how
how
in the
did you
world
capture
did you
that?
make my family look like we're
Especially-
all happy all the time?
Especially because not just like you feel like you're in the picture, like there's no way this is good. When you take pictures, you can't make them look the way professionals
no,
do.
dude,
Yeah, they did a good
incredible.
Dude, that's super cool about it. I mean, kudos to him. You don't get that feeling. He's a true professional showing up, doing great
Yeah,
work.
Same thing with Casablanca.
Well,
Same
and
thing.
most of these, like most of the players and stuff, like they're not actors. You know, they're not. They're really not.
I wonder what made him feel that way. That's interesting. I'd love to hear more about that. Any more hidden gems?
That was the last one I had.
Rating time, boys.
Mm.
1 to 9 on the cover scale. I give it an 8.
I'm doing decimals now, boys.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
8.5.
Oh, nice.
I was also an 8.5.
Yeah.
And you're saying when you were in, I don't want to say adolescent, but you were.
I didn't want to watch it at all.
Yeah, bad.
Super boring.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8. Riley asked me if I was giving it a 9. She gave me a hard time for
Try watching this movie with your girls tonight or tomorrow. See how long they last.
Oh, got it. Yeah, that's not.
Dude, I
Willow does watch
I
the
watched
Colts.
this movie and I watched Pistol all the time.
With your kids?
No, when I was in elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Willow made me when Colts were on Sunday Night Football 2 weeks ago. Willow was like, "Please record it." She loves watching the Colts. Loves watching the
Willers.
Colts. Yeah.
What's next, Brett?
We got The Big Short. So good. A Christmas Carol, the book by Dickens. 4 Christmases
Charles.
to kick off our Christmas movies. Die Hard, Sandwich, with It's a Wonderful Life on the back end. So we got some great.
Wow, we're almost to Christmas.
We are, man. We are. It's almost here. Don't forget about Thanksgiving. But yeah, Christmas will be here soon. So we got next. Hoosiers in the book. Jimmy, the MVP. They all live happily ever after.
Hey, by the time this episode comes out, I might have locked in fantasy playoffs. That's pretty exciting.
I have a video to make, boys.
Should make it right now.
Go to Pa.
Oh my God.